Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I'm an advisor on the SRA Hub. Today I have a special guest from Macalester College. I'll let him introduce himself and share a little bit more about the school.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ross Braun from Brenner. I'm an assistant director of admissions at Macalester College. As Michelle mentioned, my 10-second bio is I actually grew up in California. I grew up in Marin County. I grew up in San Rafael. So talking to students at TL is amazing. I'm actually a Macalester alum. So I graduated from Macalester College in 2014 as well. So dare I say it, I am living, breathing proof that Californians can survive, perhaps even thrive in the Midwest, in Minnesota, all of that as well. So Macalester is a small liberal arts college. We're about 2,000 students. We're in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is the capital of the state of Minnesota. A lot of opportunities kind of related to that. But the short version is that we're in a big city. And we are that small liberal arts college in a big city. And when I talk to a lot of Californians, when I talk to a lot of juniors, students who are just kind of thinking about this process, you know, the basic question of what is a liberal arts college comes up. I wasn't allowed to answer the poll, otherwise I would have. But one of the things I think about is that personal connection piece. We have about 2,000, maybe close to 2,100 students. To give away an answer right off the bat, the average class size at Macalester is 17. The student to faculty ratio is 10 to 1. I had a professor at Macalester who knew my name before the class started. He made flashcards with our student ID pictures, which were all terrible. Which were all taken on orientation, and we were all really confused. But he made them, and he wrote our name on one side and the picture on the other, and I walked in, and he said, "Good morning, Ross." And I said, "Good morning, complete stranger," who's just standing at the door. If you like your discussion-based classes, if you like getting to know your teachers, if you like participating, if you like kind of having your education, your experience be something that you are an active participant in, that's what a liberal arts college sets you up to do. I think it's a really exciting opportunity. So when people talk about liberal arts colleges, it can mean a lot of different things. Macalester is a lot like a lot of liberal arts colleges. It also has its own unique things, but one of the biggest things is that community feel. That understanding that you may be in smaller classes, you get to know people, you could live on campus a lot of the time, you could really have a sense that you're a big part of that community, which I think is pretty great. So I often get asked then as a follow-up, like, okay, like, is there a certain kind of student who should consider a liberal, like, oh, is it only if I want to study this? Like, oh, you have these programs, I want to do this, do I go to a liberal arts college? To which I say, I wish I had a perfect answer, but I don't. I think the liberal arts can be a great fit for just about anybody. What a liberal arts college enables you to do is study what you want to study. You're not going to be locked into anything. You're not going to be stuck. You don't go to this one program and say you have to do this the entire time. The academic program at a liberal arts college intentionally asks you to do a little bit of everything. Do as I say, not as I do. I first asked my academic advisor at Macalester about like graduation and distribution requirements, like classes I had to take. First time I ever asked about that was junior year. Don't do that. My advisor for 2 minutes kind of politely criticized me and told me why I should have asked that literally 2 years ago. But then like looked it up in the system and told me I was already done. Liberal arts students, you can take a little bit of everything. You can take what you want to take. Even your academic major here isn't an overwhelming part of your experience. I double majored in history and education. I took 32 classes at Macalester. My history major was 11 and my education major was 10. So I was a double major and I still had 11 classes to do whatever I wanted with. It took me way too long in my head to subtract 11 and 10 from 32, but I still had the same number of classes I took for a full major to take what I wanted. So you could have interests in 2 or 3 different things. You could be interested in something in science, you can be interested in something in the arts, you could do whatever it is, and a liberal arts college like Macalester can make that happen. I can actually show you with my fancy technology. Macalester.edu, I think, right? Yes? Cool. When you click into academics for Macalester, what you'll notice is that our academic departments, our areas of study here, are not directly related to careers. You'll notice we don't have a communications program. We have an English program. We don't have a business program, but right above English, we have an economics program. If you're sitting there and you say, well, I want to go into business, maybe a liberal arts school isn't the perfect thing. I say economics is our second most popular major. And it is for a lot of liberal arts colleges. What it is you can go into economics here and you can look at the class schedules and you can see that it's every possible element all spread out. It's accounting, it's regular econ, it's all sorts of different things. And that what a liberal arts education is trying to prepare you to do is say, great, we're not going to lock you in to one career right away. We're going to give you the chance to study a subject that you're really passionate about, that you really care about. And then we're going to turn that in to the career. So you can see, English and econ are there. We talk about the pre's a lot. Pre-law, pre-med, pre-engineering. If you want to go into science, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a physical therapist, you want to be a dentist, you want to be anything that involves that, you don't necessarily have to be locked into that. You can be a pre-med student at Macalester, do a lot of what you want to do, but still dabble in all sorts of other things. I think that's the kind of student that often thrives at a place like Macalester. A student who wants to do a little bit of everything, who wants to step out of their comfort zone. If you don't necessarily have a favorite class, if you have 2 or 3, if you can't decide, a liberal arts college could be a really, really good fit for you in that way. So I encourage you to don't get discouraged if you know exactly what you want to do and that one thing isn't represented perfectly as a major at Macalester or at a liberal arts college. If you want to go into business and a school has a really good economics program, that could be a really good option. If you want to be, a scientist and it's not this perfect specific program, it's not electrical engineering exactly, but they have that liberal arts education in science, that's great. When your average class is 17 at Macalester, you're going to know that professor. You're going to have those connections. So that professor is doing research. They don't have a graduate student to come to at Macalester. We don't have any. Our first years, our sophomores, our juniors are working with professors on research, on projects outside of class, all that stuff as well. And being in the cities is a really cool thing for us too. I will admit to you, again, I'm from the Bay Area. I fly between San Francisco and Minneapolis, St. Paul a lot. So much so that in October, I was about halfway through that flight. It's about a 4-hour flight. And about 2 hours in, I had a tiny little panic attack because I couldn't remember which direction I was going. I genuinely didn't know if I was going back to San Francisco or if I was going to Minneapolis and St. Paul, which is a weird way of saying that I have a terrible memory and just I'm really not good at some things, but also that they feel very similar to me. That these are both urban environments, but with a little bit of, Macalester is in a big city, but it doesn't feel like it's in downtown. You have connection to internships and professional sports and concert venues and outdoor bike trails and art and culture and so many different things, but you're not constantly in the middle of it either. It feels like the Bay Area in a lot of ways to me, in that it feels like home. And when I came here from the Bay Area, when I made that flight for the first time, I got here and I was like, yeah, this makes sense. There's stuff to do. There's stuff to do for fun. I was a varsity athlete at Macalester. I was also involved in theater. I did some volunteering work. You can do a little bit of everything and have that access right there, which is really cool. That's another benefit of a liberal arts college, is that they're going to ask you to be multidimensional. We're going to say, okay, at a liberal arts college, do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, try your hand at something. You're going to have friends, people who live on your dorm floor, whatever it is, who are going to, make you show up to a club meeting or go to some event in the city or whatever it is, and you're going to find out you love it. And it's going to be that one thing that you maybe didn't think you knew. Another element of that too with a liberal arts college is not only there going to be opportunities for fun, to get involved, to be a big part of the community. When you come to a place like Macalester, you are a really important part of that community from day one. And so the support and the resources and the connections you have are absolutely there. Thinking about, we are a student body of about 2,000 students. We come from all 50 states. We're citizens of 90 countries. We speak 75 languages. we know that by design, every single student is coming from a little bit of a different place. That's the point. We want to make sure you're set up for success. So if you're a student, for whom this is the first time you're in Minnesota, you're going to have a connection there. We have orientation leaders who help you get set up right away. You have an academic advisor who's a faculty member who teaches you in a class there right away. All sorts of groups and organizations on campus to help support first-generation college students, people who are the first members of their family to go to college. We have student groups and staff members on campus, many of whom are first gen themselves, who volunteer to be resources and say, yeah, I'd love to talk to students who are coming in. How can I make sure they're set up for success? Winter was a big one for me. Winter's a thing here. It's not in the Bay Area. It's just not. I'm sorry. April and October are the same thing. It's true. I was ready to be the Californian, right? To come to Minnesota, to come to Macalester College, and be the only one. Right? Just be totally confused. And the way I was going to make friends is that I was going to stand outside and look cold, and people were going to pity me. And that's how I was going to have friends. I got here. I meet my roommate. I kid you not. These are the first words out of his mouth. Hey, I'm Sebastian. Nice to meet you. Quick thing. I'm Ecuadorian, but I grew up in Costa Rica, so I'm kind of worried about the winter. And I was like, oh, well, okay. There goes literally all of my leverage. Point being that at a liberal arts college, at a place like Macalester, there is an emphasis on multiculturalism, on internationalism, on diversity of perspective, on learning from people whose background is different than your own. I'm no longer surprised when I meet Macalester people who casually reveal ridiculously important things about their life I had never heard of. A good friend of mine I did not know until about a month and a half ago was fluent in Japanese. It was it just came up casually. Lived abroad for 5 years, did so many different things. The emphasis on being a global citizen, on understanding a world outside of your own is incredibly important here as well. So that's something I like to mention. At Macalester specifically, that emphasis is really important. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about admissions and financial aid as well for an abrupt change of pace there. A couple of things to mention. One is that the people on this side of the desk are indeed people. I know the college application process can be scary. I know it's a lot of information, but if we scroll back to where we were here on Macalester, we go back to the front, we click into admissions and financial aid. One of the very first things you can do for any school that you're interested in, for Macalester specifically, we actually kind of put it right up front. Juniors and sophomores, with the J, juniors and sophomores. Introduce yourself. Say hi. We tell you what we're going to do. We're going to send you a view book. We're going to tell you about stuff. I don't know who wrote this, but I kind of like that we're throwing jokes in there. This is a great way. Let a college know you're interested. This is just the start. You can put all sorts of academic interests. If you want to write, how did you first learn about Macalester, and just this guy just randomly showed up on a screen, that's fine. It's one of those things where the first step is just to make sure that you are engaging with us. You can meet the staff right here. You know this guy now. I work with all of California. But you can look at a school's website and figure out exactly, all right, which staff member works with me? Is there somebody who works with California or the Bay Area or whatever it is? You can learn about financial aid policies and tuition and all of these things. Macalester's right here at the top is that we guarantee to meet 100% of demonstrated financial need for every student we admit. That's a term that can go in a couple of different directions, but what we say when we meet 100% of demonstrated need is that we will meet you where you are. Small liberal arts colleges and Macalester, you can see some tuition numbers down there. It's a big number. It's a very big number. The vast majority of students at Macalester are not paying that full number. When we meet full demonstrated need, what we mean is we ask for some financial aid information from you, and we are able to actually determine what you would need as a financial aid package to make it practical, to make it feasible, to make it genuinely doable to attend Macalester. So I encourage you, when you're looking at colleges, to not think of that big total sticker price as a deal breaker from the beginning. It's a big number, but also financial aid offices, including and especially the one at Macalester, in my opinion, will work with you individually to make that possible. the people on this side of the desk are people too. We got frequently asked questions right there. We can actually tell you, like, when is Macalester going to be in the area? You know, we're working on that right now, so there's nothing, but I promise there will be a lot of stars in the Bay Area right there coming soon. Websites are a great opportunity to poke around and really see that. And that's a benefit of a small liberal arts college too, of a place like Macalester. I work exclusively with California. Every single time I hear from a California student, it makes my day. We have 2,000 students. I genuinely believe one person coming here changes what Macalester is about. So you coming here changes what Macalester cares about, changes who we are. So when you send me an email, I think my only hobby is checking email. It's really sad. But like I do a couple of other things maybe, but like this idea of, we will let you know. We'll connect you with a current student. We have an SRA student on campus who's from Northern California who I've been trying for 2 years to be a tour guide, and maybe he'll see this and he'll finally become one because he's great. This is like, I can connect you with him. I can connect you with other people. I can make sure that you get an idea of that experience as well. So if you're thinking about Macalester, if you're thinking about small liberal arts colleges, if you want to learn more, introduce yourself on the website, shoot me an email. Everyone on this side of the desk wants to hear from you. And that's a really big, important piece too, is that it's this idea that, you know, I know it's a big, scary, you know, college, it's a big from you. You're not bothering me. You're not kind of doing anything like that. We want to hear from students who want to learn more about Mac. So know that on this side of the desk, the idea is we want to hear from you. We want to know what you're interested in. We want to make sure you get your questions answered. Because the last thing we want is for a student to have a question about Mac that, you know, didn't quite get answered and it didn't keep Mac on the list. And so if you want to know about a specific academic program, if you want to know about winter, if you want to know about the Twin Cities, whatever it is, everybody is here to help. That was so much of my voice, but I'm looking at the clock. How am I doing?
Yeah, we have about 9 minutes left. So, you know, if you guys have a question, feel free to type it into the chat box, and then we'll have Ross answer them. As they're kind of coming up with their questions, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any fly-in programs?
We do, actually, yeah. And so the process for that is just starting up. So we do one in the fall, and then we do one for admitted seniors in the spring. So the fly-in program in the fall, actually, and you can talk to your SRA counselors about this, or your counselors at TL, is by nomination. So we ask counselors to say, who do you know? Who are your students who would be a great fit, who are interested in Macalester? They give us names, and we email that student and we say, hey, somebody thinks you're great. And then ask for a little bit of information, and then we do a fly-in program where we cover the vast majority of the costs for you to come see Macalester, to stay for 2 nights, to meet students, to talk with students and staff who work with our Department of Multicultural Life, who work with our academic programs, who work with admissions. You can interview, you can do all of these things as well. And then, of course, for admitted seniors, we have that program as well. So for students who really know that Macalester is an option, we had one of our largest ever fly-in programs just a few weeks ago. So definitely something to look into for sure, and more info coming soon.
Great. So we have a couple questions from some students. So the first one is, how common is it for students to go straight to grad school or have a full-time job right after graduation?
Yeah, so I don't know about necessarily straight to grad school, but I can give you the 5-year number. 60% of Macalester graduates within 5 years of graduating from Macalester have an advanced degree or are in grad school at that time, which means I'm behind because I'm about to be 5 years out and don't have them, but it's incredibly popular to go into the sciences, to go do research, to go get a PhD, to go get a master's in the field that you want to work in. Macalester students love to learn. I don't think that stops once they get the diploma from Macalester. I'd say probably right off, ballparking, about 15% of people go right to grad school in the fall. In terms of full-time job after graduation, we just had ours this past Saturday. And I think, typically the number is in the low 90%, like 91, 92% of people have the job lined up, are going to grad school, or really have that opportunity. Like, you ask them as they're walking across the stage. and they know what they're doing. What I love about Macalesters is that an even higher percentage of those students tell us that they have a job or grad school or an opportunity that's specific to what they want to do in life, which I think is really cool. It's not only like, oh, I have a job and it's just a job. It's I have the job. I'm going to the grad school. Like I have exactly what I wanted to do. Not only like, do I have that and it's exciting and I have a job and that's a great thing to begin with, but it's, I have a great fit too.
What are some downsides of a liberal arts college?
Yeah, I think we send out a letter sometimes to students who are interested, and one of the things that is in it is, I'm paraphrasing this line, it's not exactly it, but we say, Macalester is a great choice for driven, motivated students who are interested in a lot. And I think in parentheses then it says, and a pretty lousy choice for those who aren't. One of the challenges of the liberal arts college is we're gonna ask you to try some stuff out. We're gonna ask you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. We're going to try a little bit of everything. And oftentimes, you know, you need to meet that school in the middle. And so I think one of the potential downsides for a liberal arts college is that it's not going to be perfectly planned out, which can be a positive in a lot of ways. You can try things. You can fail at something and it's okay. You can try again. You can figure it out. You can think you want to do something and pivot. But if I had to say kind of one of the downsides is that it might be, it's not as perfectly planned or linear as another opportunity might be. I see that as a positive, but I could also see how that at the outset could be a challenge too.
So a lot of our students are first gen. So what specific programs or organizations does MAC have to support these students?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. So we have a wide variety of what we call identity collectives, which are student groups for students who identify in a certain way, one of which is geared exclusively towards first generation college students. So this is a space for those students to meet one another, to share space, to talk about their own experience, to be heard and know that there are other students on this campus going through that similar experience. For context, I believe 14% of our incoming class identifies as first generation. So there's a group of first gen students in every cohort. That's a pretty significant number. We have a program on campus called I'm First as well, which is for first generation students, faculty, and staff as well, which offers similar programming, offers kind of workshops, discussion spaces. We have a program called Emerging Scholars too, which works with first generation students and students of color as well, making sure that those students are aware of all of the research and internship and class opportunities on this campus that they may not have heard about until they got to Macalester. And so making sure that when you get here, we know that Macalester can set you up for success, and we want to make sure that you don't have to go hunting and searching to find it, that we're going to say, we're so excited you're here. Here are 3 things we think that are great for you as well. A couple cohort programs too. So programs that you join as a first year that sophomores, juniors, and seniors are a part of as well. One that comes to mind is called Bonner Scholars. It connects you with an on-campus work study or an off-campus work study position, so you have a job as soon as you get here, that's all lined up through them, and a sophomore, junior, senior in the program who could be a mentor for you as well, who came to MAC, who can tell you, oh, I wish I had known this. Oh, I wish I had started this earlier. I wish I had take this class now. I'm just taking it right now, and I wish I had taken it a year earlier.
We got about 4 more questions, so
yeah.
I'll kind of combine these next 2. What
Sure.
drew you personally to Macalester, and what were your best academic and personal experience as a student there?
Yeah, so what drew me, I was looking for a small liberal arts school. I wanted it to be in a city. And what drew me as a student and still keeps me here as a staff member is the mission of the college. The mission of the college has 4 core values in it. It's academic excellence, first and foremost. It's internationalism, multiculturalism, and service to society. And I can see that on a daily basis. I love that Macalester students and faculty and staff all universally care about those things, engage with those things, the classes we offer, the people who are here, the clubs that are on campus, everything revolves around furthering and engaging with that mission. And that was really great. When I was a high school senior, I said, I want to go to a place that cares. I want to go to a place that isn't done until people have gone out and actually done something. And so that's what still keeps me here today. Best experiences. Academically, I mean, I wrote something like a 55-page paper. That was one of the worst experiences, but also one of the best experiences. My academic advisor went on sabbatical, so she took a semester off to do her own independent research. And one of the most Macalester experiences is that she actually sent me an email before she left with no subject line. It was blank. I was really confused. And all it had was a phone number and a Gmail address. And then at the bottom, there's a little note that says, this is my personal cell and my personal email. If you need anything, let me know. And that was really cool because even when she wasn't going to be on campus, she cared enough about my experience as a student. She cared enough about my work that semester that if she could help at all, she was going to. I called her once. She picked up on the second ring. It's like she knew it was coming. She's like, hi, yeah, what's up? What can I help with? I'm in a library right now. Do you need a source for anything? I was like, what? Are you kidding? So that, I think, is one experience that I think really talks about it a lot. Personal experience, it's all about Macalester connections, I think. That's another benefit of Macalester and about a small liberal arts college, is that, I see Macalester everywhere. Our school colors are blue and orange. I've got a lot of my blue on right now. If I wear blue and orange anywhere in the Twin Cities, people will stop me and ask me if it's Macalester. Like, it's navy blue. It's like a pretty popular color. But just this idea that you're a part of something much bigger than yourself is really cool. I've run into people in airports. I've run into people all over the country. Somebody left their business card under my windshield wiper in Berkeley once because they saw a Macalester bumper sticker and they were like, oh, no way. Like, class of 1988. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, and so a lot of the personal moments happen because of that.
Great. What internships are offered in the economics program, and are there any programs that would help students start their own business?
Yeah, I'll actually answer the second one first. Entrepreneurship is really big on our campus. We have kind of an office and an academic program dedicated to it. We have an entrepreneur in residence who's a Macalester alum. She helps run what we call Mac Startups. So it's a summer program where you actually get seed funding to do exactly that, to try to start your own business. You spend the summer here, you live on campus, you have a grant, and you with a partner or a team, try it. What's your idea? Here we go. You pitch, you go meet people who are involved in that industry, you see if it can actually work, and you try it out. And we think practical firsthand experience is really important. That understanding of we are really lucky to be in a major city, let's use that. If you're studying economics here, there are 17 Fortune 500 companies in the Twin Cities. 3M is here, Best Buy is here, Target is here. That's a big one. They're everywhere. So there's internships like that as well, going and interning at these really big companies. There's also stuff of interning. This is the state capitol, so you can get involved in politics and advocacy, in social justice work, in doing all sorts of kind of engagement, using econ, using your business brain, but not necessarily like only the corporate route too. So those are a few that come to mind. The entrepreneurship program is really cool. The second floor of our library just got redone to be a maker space. So instead of just like stacks of books, it's open tables. I think there's a 3D printer up there. It's all sorts of like smart boards and whiteboards. And, I imagine like this is how, all of these tech startups happen, like 3 a.m, there are people writing on these boards and they finally figured it out. That can be the vibe here. You can try your hand at starting your own business. You can go intern at a really important company and you can come back and use what you learned too. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. And that was a lot of great information for our students. So what I'm going to do is launch the post survey. So it should pop up on your screen now. They're the same 2 questions. And once you guys answer, we'll reveal what it is. And Ross, I don't know if you see the comment, but they said thank you. It was really helpful.
Oh, glad. Yeah. Great talking to you all. Always nice to talk to Californians and talk back home to Marin. If I can help with anything, if Macalester can help with anything, we check our email compulsively. So let us know.
Oh, let's see. How about now? Do you see the survey? So Ross, if they did want to email you directly, would they just find your email on the website and this?
Yeah, let me show you. So if we go, let's start at the beginning. This is macalester.edu. Admissions and financial aid is up in the center. And then meet the staff is down here. And here I am, right there. So again, I work with all of California, but that's me right there. And also any email that goes to just admissions@macalester.edu. Typically, if it references California, it finds its way into my email inbox too. So
Awesome.
that's how to do it.
All right. So yeah, you guys got the answer right. Liberal arts colleges do offer research opportunities, and they do tend to be a little smaller. So you guys learned a lot today, and hopefully you guys are going to be considering Mac and other liberal arts colleges. Yeah, you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Ross, and we'll see you next time. SRA Hub. Bye, guys.
Thanks.